This is the Johnny Cleveland Podcast. All things Cleveland sports with your host, John Suchan. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Johnny Cleveland Podcast. It is a late evening Wednesday. Let me find my music. Having some technical issues tonight. Not a good stream going on right now, but this is a recording. When you listen to us, we will be coming to you on Thursday morning. And so hopefully nothing happens in the news between tonight, late night, and tomorrow. Let me see if I can get my music going here. How's everybody doing? Doing well? Actually, if you're watching, I'm going to have this episode on late on the Fans First Sports Network, part of, we are the Fanatical Elves Network, part of Fans First Sports Network. And just happy that you're here. We've had a full week. If you were Cleveland fans, I don't know how we do it, right? You know, there's so much. We're like the center of the universe all the time. Lots to talk about this week. Amari Cooper got traded, yesterday. Nick Chubb, running back of the Cleveland Browns, sent a love letter or a return letter to the Cleveland faithful, which was amazing. And I got him in the background there. If you're watching us, if you're listening to us, you can't see the picture of Nick Chubb, but those are from his past glory days. Can he return to that magnificent self? Certainly when you read the letter, we'll get into that here in a moment. Just tremendous. I've said it. Many of you have said it, that Nick Chubb is the heart and soul of the Cleveland Browns. Been a lot of various opinions today, just some weird opinions out there in the, especially local media. Some national guys talking to. It's mostly the local people. It's kind of weird sometimes you hear different opinions on them, on what they think about Nick Chubb. And what is it? Dustin Fox came on today or something and made some comments about how, the organization doesn't deserve someone like Nick Chubb, because Nick Chubb did positively talk about the Cleveland Browns organization multiple times in his letter that he wrote. So it's an interesting time in Browns history. Well, before we get into the talk about Nick Chubb and Amari Cooper, I do want to just mention again the Guardians. Yep, our Cleveland Guardians, that Indians, them tribe, they went to New York and laid an egg. A lot of people talk about them playing scared or looking like the lights are too big for them. Come on, guys. It's professional baseball. These guys, it's not too big. And part of that is because you, the fans, are watching these games and you have that opinion, because when you go watch the games on TV, listen, I've watched the Yankees over the years play. You have too. They put on those pinstripes. There's history there. Yeah, it's hard. Lights aren't too big for the Indians or the Guardians of the tribe. They'll be all right. They got 3 games. They're coming home in front of a great home crowd. You never know. There's magic. There could be magic in the air. And we got to just hold tight. Baseball is a fascinating game. I don't like the fact that the Indians or the Guardians manager has been taking his best pitchers or his starters out in the first or second inning. You're not giving these young kids much confidence. So if you do want to talk about the lights being too big, he's not helping in that. And that's one area that I just don't agree with as a coach myself. You might not agree with it either if you've coached before. It just seems weird. A lot of weirdness going around. So we'll see what the Guardians do. The Guardians, they did come through the series and they beat the Tigers. The Tigers were a hot team and the Guardians found a way to win. Congratulations to all of them for getting to this point. It's been a while since 2016 That was the last real legitimate shot that the Guardians had at winning a World Series. They were one game away, folks, one game away. But this is a fun team. People are comparing, this Guards team and the Browns and saying how the Browns just aren't fun to cover. There's just no joy in Berea, which is, kind of true, but it's hard being a Cleveland fan. Let's just face it. Guards fan, Cavs fan, Browns fan, it's hard. We are devoted, and I've seen so many various people, fans, coming on social media platforms and spilling their guts and sharing their emotions, which is all great. I share my emotions too. I'm an up and down fan as well, just like many of you. It's a fascinating time. I'll keep saying it. But the thing is, you guys who have been Browns fans for a long, long time, like we've watched this team for 35 or 40 years. All these teams, from the Guardians to the Cavs to the Browns. Lou Marconi and I were talking about that, stirring the pot, and getting through. Lou talked about getting through these times. There will be ups and downs, and that is really the case. I think we're all surprised as Browns fans how horrible this season has gone. I'm in shock. I think most Browns fans are in shock. I didn't expect it to be as easy as some people thought it would be going into the season. And that's why I kept talking about the fact that after the 2020 season with Baker Mayfield, the next two seasons, we were sub 500. What concerns me the most right now, well, there's a lot of things that concern me the most. We can talk about Deshaun Watson here in a minute, but Kevin Stefanski just seems a shell. We talk about Deshaun Watson being a shell of himself. I think Stefanski has just, something's going on. It doesn't seem right. He can't continue to beat a dead horse and continue to say that Deshaun Watson gives this team the best chance to win. I think it's just ridiculous. I don't know who's feeding him this crap. I really don't. It stuns me because I just, when you look and listen to Kevin Stefanski, yes, he says the same damn thing for the last 5 seasons. We got to get better. We got to do better. We got to coach better. But his whole take on Deshaun being the best way forward is just ridiculous. And I don't know, someone has to be telling him that he has got to say that, because I can't believe that he, who has been in football his whole life and has been a coach in Minnesota and was a good player back in the day, analytics, all this stuff, can't see what every gosh dang Browns fan on the face of the planet sees, that Deshaun Watson is god awful. And he's seeing ghosts. He's a mental basket case. I'm not the first person nor the last who's been saying this. I've been talking about him being a basket case a lot longer than many of you guys out there, you local people that follow the team, you national pundits. I've been talking about Deshaun Watson being a basket case for the last 2-3 seasons that he's been with the team. He doesn't like football anymore. He doesn't like football. And the players on the team, those of you who continue to try to tell me that he's not lost the locker room, you're just fooling yourselves. He has completely lost the locker room. There are, Amari Cooper's not with the team. Okay. You look at people want to talk about body language. You look at body language of Amari Cooper. Yes, he was showing a lot of crappy body language. Okay. But that's due to what's going on behind the scenes. And Deshaun Watson is part of that. I mean, there have been multiple times, and if you've been to the games or you watch the games on TV, but if you actually, they're in the stadium, watch the interactions of the players on the sideline, in the huddles, on the field, off the field. Deshaun Watson is 1,000 miles away from his teammates. There was a moment at the end of last week's game when the team was getting ready to lose. You saw Amari Cooper sitting next to Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson wasn't interacting with Coop at all. But Coop took it upon himself, gave him a pound fist. I don't know if you saw this. Turned to him, gave him a fist pump, to kind of interject some life into Watson. That should not be happening. If you have the leader of your football team, Deshaun Watson, the quarterback, who's supposed to be leading this team on the field offensively, doing that crap, he's just not engaged. He has lost the locker room. This team is a complete mess and a disaster. Yes, Kevin Stefanski is the leader. And yes, if Kevin Stefanski wants to go down with the ship, that's what's happening. If he wants to be 1-8, 1-9, and the Haslams are going to keep him, save his job, so be it. If we saw this before with Hugh Jackson, god awful coach. I would like to think that Kevin Stefanski is a little bit better coach than Hugh Jackson. But if he continues to say the same damn thing every week, that Deshaun Watson gives him the best chance to win, it's ridiculous. You have a backup named Jameis Winston, who was once the number 1 draft pick in the NFL draft. You have DTR, who's sitting back and can win a ball game for you. We want to see wins. You want to see a win? I want to see a win. Nick Chubb, the guy right back there behind me on the screen, he wants to see wins. He's preparing to win. And if you don't come along on the ride, then you're going to be lost. And right now, this team is completely lost. And it starts with the head coach and then the quarterback. Frustrating. Very frustrating. Amari Cooper traded yesterday. Let me pause for here a quick second. Let's pause for a commercial break. This is the Jenny Cleveland podcast. We will be right back. All right, we're back here on the Johnny Cleveland podcast, part of Fans First Sports Network and the Fanatical L's Network. Glad that you're aboard. We got Nick Chubb riding behind me here. I'm going to drink my Diet Coke. Was it John Daly? Is that the golfer? He was on some podcast recently. Not Ryan Day, John Daly, the big golfer with the white hair and all that stuff. He was talking about back in his heyday, he was drinking, I want to say, he was saying 12 to 18 Diet Cokes a day and multiple trips to McDonald's, where he would say in one sitting he'd have 3 or 4 Big Macs, a quarter pounder or 2, and a couple cheeseburgers in one sitting, and some fries throw in, and Diet Cokes. Lord have mercy. My wife said, well, how big is he these days? He's pretty big, but he's a pretty good golfer too. Still, thank God he's still alive, right? All right, back to reality here. Well, the reality is that the Browns traded Amari Cooper. Folks, I'm pissed. I know the logic. Everybody's going to come out and say, oh, well, it was a good business decision. Yeah, and the body language of Amari Cooper, he didn't want to be here. And here's what's really annoying. The most annoying part are these stupid ass local guys. I think they're on 92.3 up there. I don't know who the moron is, but he's talking smack about how, well, Coop's dropping these passes and we don't need him. And what is wrong with you? Amari Cooper is one of the best. He is the best wide receiver that the Browns have had on this team since 1999, except one season. Josh Gordon, if he wasn't smoking weed, he would be number 1. I mean, he had an amazing 1,600 yards, 1,700 yard season. But besides that, Amari Cooper came here in a trade. And yes, we got value back on him. We got this 3rd round pick now that we got as we traded him to the Buffalo Bills. But anybody who's out there, especially these local idiots who are out there trying to say, we didn't need him, he didn't really want to win, or he was, what's wrong with you people? Do you honestly, you have no idea what's going on? Amari Cooper is one of the most professional athletes on the face of the planet besides Nick Chubb. And, what the Browns did in the offseason, coming into this offseason and not signing him and him holding out and Jerry Jeudy being signed. Yeah, I mean, all of that stuff was bubbling up. I'm not going to say that, it probably had some bearing on some situations that were going on. Those drops, I'm sorry. Okay, the first drop that he had in that last game, a lot of you will say, well, he's supposed to catch that and all that crap. Here's an idea. Here's an idea. You want to know what the idea is? Listen up. Okay, if you had a quarterback, Deshaun Watson, a guy who could consistently throw the ball accurately, then maybe you wouldn't have all your wide receivers, including Amari Cooper, guessing every time what you're going to get. I mean, having Deshaun Watson sit back and throw footballs is kind of like waiting on a kid who's 10 or 11 or 12 years old, learning how to play the game of quarterback, and he's all over the frickin' place. I don't blame. I mean, you want to blame Coop, go right ahead. You're welcome to your opinion, but that opinion's not very strong when you start saying, well, he's supposed to be catching that, it's hitting him in the hands, or he got okay, get a quarterback who can be consistent. Yeah, every wide receiver is going to drop some passes. But that first pass that he dropped that everyone's yapping about, and I'm pissed off they didn't catch it. But he went about 7,000 feet into the air, had two hands on it. But again, it's like a pinball machine. You don't know where the hell the ball's coming from when Deshaun's throwing it. So that is, yes, on Coop, but it's also on the quarterback. And we have a terrible quarterback. That's why we get back to this whole crap about Kevin Stefanski's comments about how Watson gives them the best chance. And then there's that crowd, and I know there's some of you colleagues here on the Fanatical L's that will strongly disagree with me, but you'll say, oh, well, go ahead, put Jameis Winston in. Let's see what happens. Sure, I'd love to. And you can't, you have to look not too far back. PJ Walker, Joe Flacco, coming off of his couch, a real quarterback who can throw the ball and is now just having another career season in Indy, who could have been here in Cleveland as Deshaun Watson's backup. But no, we can't do that because we don't want to hurt Deshaun's little feelings. I mean, come on, folks. I mean, we want to see Jameis Winston, and I will guarantee you that we will see more production in the offense if you put Jameis Winston in that. They say, oh, well, no, the offensive line is crap. Let's see how many times he gets sacked. A lot less than Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is like a sack. Like, you want a sack, just, have Deshaun Watson out there. He's leading the league in a bazillion sacks. They were 0 for 27 on third down conversions until late this week. I mean, it's just, I want to see Jameis Winston. Fans want to see. Put in Jameis Winston or give us DTR. And bench the guy. Let him sit there. Pay him the $230 million rest of his contract and let him sit his ass on the bench. That's what the fans want. Okay, we don't. Some of you will say, well, who cares about what the fans say? The organization doesn't care. And what exactly has that got in this organization? Yeah, we got a third-round pick now for Amari Cooper. Yip-de-doo, right? What are we going to do with that third-round pick? Well, Andrew Berry hasn't done jack squat with those third-round picks. And I'm telling you right now, and a lot of the people are talking about it today, and I'm on the bandwagon here, Andrew Berry is not the guy. Kevin Stefanski, I don't know. If he continues to say this crap about how this quarterback who's a complete basket case is his best option at quarterback, I feel bad for you, Kevin, because I don't think that's your true feelings. Fans, I mean, we can see it, we can hear it, we just know that you're getting fed crap, or people are telling you or instructing you, this is what you got to say. It's killing this organization right now. And so that's the distress, right? The PR right now, that's awful. And then to really complicate the emotions for Cleveland Browns faithful, you have the return of Batman, of Nick Chubb. Bless Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is a saint. We all know this, right? He came out today with a letter, a magnificent letter, a letter that will rival whatever LeBron James said when he was coming back and whenever he decided to come back and help the Cleveland Cavaliers win a championship. Nick Chubb is probably more beloved. I would say he's gaining, I mean, he's not as popular as LeBron James. I understand. I will agree to that. But Nick Chubb said a lot in this letter. I'm not going to read the letter to you. If you're a Browns fan, if you haven't read the letter yet, please go out and read this letter. It's everywhere. And what he wrote it for Players Tribute magazine. And he said he had help from some of the authors or the writers there at this organization that they do some articles for football players. But he described basically his upbringing, his childhood, his growing up with his mom, his growing up with his grandmother, all the hard work that he put in, how he was treated when he was a kid to now, and how he's always been kind of a quiet and reserved individual. Fascinating stuff. For me as a school counselor on the side, or my normal gig, reading and him giving a little bit of insight to his family and his background is just fascinating to me. There's a lot of talk about his last name, Chubb. There was a town, Chubb town in Georgia, that was part of with the civil rights and the slavery and things. His father's descendants, the great grandfathers and stuff, helped create this community in the Deep South. But Nick Chubb did not grow up with his dad, really. He grew up with his mom, and in the beginning of this letter, he gives all of his love and support to his mother, who worked her ass off. And he, like many other families and many other children, he was exposed to seeing how hard and, it was just tough times. He was one of 3 or 4 children. He says he was the middle child. The sister was oftentimes spoiled. And then by the age of 10 or 11, maybe, or 12 or 13, he ended up moving in with his grandmother because his mom took another job or multiple jobs. So he described in depth a couple different scenarios with his grandmother and how hard she made the kids work, picking up rocks and gravel and putting them in barrels and cleaning up the backyards and going up and down a hill and doing this time and time again, and the devotion and dedication to it. And I mean, it was hard labor. But the grandmother grew up in an era where she had to learn the hard ways of doing things. And she passed that on to Nick Chubb and to the other siblings. And he talks a lot about that and going back to that and feeling devoted to that. And so he then goes into a little bit of a conversation about how he got drafted by Cleveland and what that experience was like. And he really never knew anything about Cleveland. And when he got drafted, it was a huge deal. He wasn't sure, what to expect. And now he talks about these injuries that he suffered and how now he feels like he really belongs here in Cleveland, and he was brought here for reasons, and there's unfinished business and all this wonderful stuff. And you really, when you read it, you really understand and believe that this kid is truly faithful to his craft. And it's a beautiful thing. Some people have been criticizing his comment, or not him, but this comment about, he said that the Browns basically told him and his agent right after he was injured a year ago that they were certainly going to bring him back because the organization knew how much he meant to the community. And some people have been chastising the organization and saying the organization doesn't deserve a player like Nick Chubb, which is just horse crap. I mean, just stop talking and making nonsense. I mean, just leave that be. I mean, there's other things that you can criticize the Browns organization for, but to say that they don't deserve a Nick Chubb, I mean, just boneheaded. So Dustin Fox, whoever, I know who you are, listen, I respect you, but the comments that you had earlier were just, I don't get it. You don't have to go that far to basically say that the organization doesn't deserve Nick Chubb. And the fans do. That's what he said, but the organization doesn't. I'm like, whatever. Listen, we're all very privileged to be able to watch this guy, and I think most fans have known that since 2018. You may not like the organization, and I don't like what the organization is doing, especially right now, and it's a mess. So, he's going to come back on Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals. Man, I have been talking all week about this, and you have been too, with your family and your friends, by the water coolers at your jobs. You're talking about the same crap we are. I mean, it's going to be, I don't even know how to describe what it's going to be like on Sunday. Unfortunately, I won't be there. I'm going to be out of town. We're going to be in Wichita, visiting family and friends. And we got be there with the Browns backers, the Oz chapter of the Browns backers. And so I'm looking forward to that. But we're going to be watching the game together. And my daughter, who will be staying here, they're going to the game in our place. And I just said, boy, the Boo Birds are, every time that Deshaun Watson touches the ball, it's going to be endless. I mean, yes, the Browns have had success against Cincinnati, and if they can pull it together somehow, I'm going to root for them. But things start going south early, which I think are going to happen just because of the situation that we're in right now. I don't know, man. I just don't see Kevin Stefanski and Deshaun Watson surviving. I mean, I don't even know what Browns fans would be capable of doing, but something's going to go haywire. That's why I'll be tuning in, because it's just going to be crazy. And if they win, great. Stefanski lives another week. If they lose and he comes out and somehow says again that Deshaun Watson gives him the best chance at winning, that's bullshit. So let's just cut to the chase. And I don't know what he's looking at. He's been a coach for years. He's 2-time coach of the year. He should know better. Anywho, I'm excited as you are to see Nick Chubb back. That moment in time a year ago in week 2 when he had that crushing knee injury at Pittsburgh was god awful. It stunned Browns Nation. It really has. It really affected everything. And we're in a time right now with everything with this organization that is just bad. So maybe Nick Chubb, Batman, can get through the mess that is Gotham and bring some light into the city. Yeah, I think it could happen. And you never know. I mean, it's wishful thinking, but Nick Chubb is a unique, special individual, and I wouldn't put it past him to be able to motivate and challenge his team more than anybody else on that team. So we'll see if they can somehow find a way. It's going to somehow, because of that man, Nick Chubb, being on the field on Sunday. It's not going to be because of Deshaun Watson, and it's not going to be because of Coach Stefanski. I hope that those guys can figure things out pretty quickly, because if this season continues to go the way that it has been going, I cannot see. You just can't, right? Browns fans, you just can't see it keep going forward. It's just ridiculous. It's psychotic is what it is. And we'll see. Well, folks, we're going to have a full week here. My show is going to be coming out on audio here. If you're listening to me, it's Thursday morning while you're listening. Rod Bloom has his Browns Blitz that you'll hear also today, Thursday. We've got some shows coming up this weekend, so tune in for those. We'll have the game on Sunday, so stay tuned. Really appreciate you following along in the Fanatical Elves Network, part of Fans First. Please make sure that you download Apple, Spotify, subscribe to us. Also subscribe to our Hemisphere Coffee Roasters. They shake the hand of the coffee farmers, and we love them, and they are supporting us. We get 15% back on any coffee that you guys buy, so thank you. All right, until next time, and remember, folks, this is the Johnny Cleveland Podcast, and I always end the show by reminding you to, that's right, keep smiling. Take care.